What's up, guys and gals, and welcome to VV Vibes, where I love talking all things VV NFTs, speculation, and of course the market. So wow, another huge Star Wars drop coming to the VV app. It's going to be Boba Fett, which is personally one of my favorite. I think I've said this before. A lot of people ask me questions: who would I rather be on anything in the like kind of Star Wars universe? I pretty much consistently say a bounty hunter. Like, don't get me wrong, being a Jedi would be really cool, but at the end of the day, I would love to be a bounty hunter that specializes in hunting Jedi and stuff, kind of like that. Basically how Jango and Boba Fett was in a way. But yeah, so I'm going to cover all the stuff. People are constantly arguing, is this a Grail? Is this not? Are the common and uncommon going to fall below retail? Like, what's going to happen? Are we getting Amazing Fantasy 15? There's like 40 different questions that's happening with this drop. So I'm really excited to talk about all of it today. We're going to compare to some other NFTs already on the platform, as well as some price predictions here at the very end. But before we do, thank you again to Hinanu, Dino Lang, and Fun Under the Sun for the most recent donations, and my Amazing Fantasy 15 fund. Just doing it for fun, just so you guys have something to do. But anyway, we'll go ahead and jump into it. So first things first, I actually need to move this over. So first things first is, yeah, here's the tweet from Veve, basically saying it's coming out on Saturday, July 30th at 8 a.m. Now, one thing that a lot of people are kind of complaining about, including myself, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that like Veve couldn't have waited, what, 24 hours for this drop to happen just later. This is going to be the very last drop that's ever going to happen before KYC. You can definitely bet that any bots that are still remaining on the Veve app that still have 80 gems, that still have the capability of playing the drop, they're going to be coming in full force. This is the very last hurrah, honestly, bots are going to have before they do it. So this drop is going to be very difficult to get, probably on par with Vader in some way, but yeah, I do not expect, don't expect to get two on the drop. Let's say that you might get one on the drop and one on the rebound if you get really lucky. But other than that, still not entirely sure how this is all going to play out, because Amazing Fantasy 15 is still ever looming, right? Is it going to happen on the 15th? Is it going to happen on the 1st, which is Spider-Man Day? Could it happen on the 15th, which I think is a kind of another special day for like Marvel Veve? And then the 19th is the day that Marvel Comics 1 came to the app. So like the very first comics ever, that will be kind of like the first year that Marvel Comics was on the app, so they could do it on that day too. So a lot of speculation that Amazing Fantasy 15 will be coming out in August, so that could affect the pricing as well as some other things. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump into the actually first I wanted to kind of compare some of the mint numbers and stuff. So right now we're looking at Vader, which I think is the easiest comparison. The mint numbers are almost identical to Boba Fett. I think some of the mint numbers might be a little bit lower than Vader from both. So Boba Fett actually has less mints, but we're talking a dozen or two, not that many in the grand scheme of things. But right now, just kind of for some context, Vader's holding at about 1.9K. The common is at 130 and the uncommon is at 114. And I think just because the common has a more iconic stance where it's just more menacing, lightsaber to the side, despite the fact that it does have about 2,000 more mints than the uncommon, which I think we're going to see an inverse effect of that happening with Boba Fett, because I do think the uncommon's stance of Boba Fett is actually going to be more iconic and people are going to want to pick that one up. I know at least I do personally. But yeah, so like the price has just been kind of going down, and this is something I've been saying for a while. I think over the next 3, 4, 5, 6 months, like the market could continue to go down. It depends on if the economy is going to recover. It's going to depend on crypto to NFT. There's going to be a whole lot of things coming, and I think people kind of realized ever since San Diego Comic-Con, or even months before, that like we're still really early on the app. And as it pertains to all this, I'll put a link down in the description for the Medium article for Boba Fett. But yeah, in my personal opinion, to Star Wars collectors or Star Wars fanatics, Boba Fett is a Grail. But to your average person that's, you know, coming on Veve, either has watched a little bit of Star Wars, maybe they're not a fan of the originals, maybe they started with like Phantom Menace, like episode 1 stuff, or maybe they're just not a fan of Boba Fett himself because he only had like I think like 5 or 6 lines in the entire trilogy, but his design is very unique. I will say at the very least, if you're not treating it as a Grail, you should treat it likely as a blue chip. He is definitely, you know, it's almost kind of like a different branch of bad guy, right? Like you have Darth Vader, which is easily the most popular villain that's probably to ever exist in fictional history, and then Boba Fett is the best bounty hunter pretty much in the galaxy when it comes to Star Wars, and he's kind of lived up to that reputation. He's been hired consistently by Darth Vader, and not only that, but also has lived to tell the tale. Like, you know, Vader tends to kill people he's disappointed with, so a whole lot of stuff with Boba Fett for the most part, and I don't want to get too much into like the lore aspect of him. But again, box price is 80 gems, just like Darth Vader, 11,980. So a little bit more than Vader on like the common side of things. The uncommon, we have the on guard position, which I like this one more because this is actually the stance that Boba Fett has been seen to be kind of holding more often, especially around Jabba's palace and things like that, where some of the characters came in, like Luke Skywalker and all that stuff. So it's like, it's definitely his most, I would say, like his like iconic pose. There's not too often he's actually like holding out his gun or anything like that, but you do typically see him in this position, like in the movies. Again, almost identical mint numbers, except I think this one's actually a little bit less than Vader's. So 9,932 versus whatever Vader has. So it's a less than a 100 mint difference. So again, at 80. And this is another one. So this is the animated ultra rare, which I do like this one a lot. So he actually puts down his like little targeting computer thing, looks around, looks like he's about to shoot his missile from his like a wrist rocket, which is really, really cool. And it says, I had you in my sights. This one is 5,932. So still, it's very slightly less than Vader when it comes to this. And that was actually one thing I kind of overlooked, that when I watched my collectibles video, is that it looks like they're starting a new series, as Series 1 Boba Fett, but there was something that they called it. Yeah, the Underworlders Collection. So we could definitely get more bounty hunters. We could get Jabba the Hutt. We could get potentially a Rancor. Rancor is part of that little like Jabba's palace underground thing. We could get a lot of different, there's actually a lot of, you know, unless you know the lore aspect or you collected a lot of the toys, there are a lot of like unnamed bounty hunters in the movies, but they do have names when you do collect them, like physically and stuff. And I mean, by far and away, when it comes to physical collectibles, the most expensive physical collectibles in all of Star Wars are some of the Boba Fett collectibles. You know, there's Vader, there's Luke, there's all kinds of stuff. But when it comes to like the most expensive ones, the most niche, the most collectible ones, like Boba Fett is pretty much at the top when it comes to some of the most expensive collectibles to literally ever existed when it comes to Star Wars. So that's why I like the aspect of it, but I still even then we're talking a pretty niche group of people that are spending, you know, 5, potentially 6 figures on some certain collectibles and things like that. But so we'll go ahead and jump into the price prediction. So I actually formatted this a little bit differently than I usually do, and I actually need to move my camera beforehand, which actually switched it up. I saw this from another VV content creator, like, gosh, probably like 2 weeks ago, and I completely forgot their name. If I do remember, I'll put it down in the description, or at least like in the comments, because I did like the way they formatted everything for the most part. But it looked very similar to this, where essentially we're going to be having like, this is the common. I know it's kind of hard to see. Maybe I should have put myself in like the top left. Probably would have been better. You know, let's go ahead and put bottom left is fine. So it's going to go common, uncommon, and then ultra rare. So just to kind of let you guys know, maybe I should flip it next time, put the pricing on the left side regardless. So the normal pricing in the middle is kind of very close to what my price prediction is going to be. It could be a little bit above, a little bit below. I did put a little bit of a window there, obviously, when it comes to price predictions. But I will say, if the market is looking very bullish, I do think the common could probably break 100 gems or get around 100 gems, maybe 115 on the high end. This is if we have all the whales going, you know, nonstop. They're really trying to basically grab any of these Boba Fett's below 100 gems. They know the significance of the Boba Fett figurine. They feel comfortable spending money now because they think that either AF-15 is not coming out on the 1st, or like maybe like in the middle of August, or not at all. Because I will say, if Amazing Fantasy 15 is not announced by what, July 30th, which is the drop date of this, and that kind of signifies to us as VV users that we're not getting it on the 1st, people might double down and double back on Vader, on Boba Fett, because it could get later into the day where it's like, all right, I guess VV's not dropping Amazing Fantasy 15 on the 1st. They could move it all the way out to like the 15th or the 19th of August. All right, we have 2 more weeks to kind of start accumulating stuff. Maybe we should buy it now. So maybe like the first half of the day, it could look normal. Then towards the end of the day, if we're not getting Amazing Fantasy 15 announcement, it could start looking bullish. I will say overall bearish. If people are just treating this on average just as like your general random blind box drop of kind of like your like mid-level B tier, you know, Marvel superhero, the bearish outlook could be like 60 to 75 gems. I don't think it'll get that low. I will say, just for the fact that the mint numbers are pretty much identical to Vader. Arguably, Vader is more popular, but Boba Fett collectibles in real life are going for more money. There is a small chance this could go below retail. There is a small chance. I do think that this could go below retail, which is why I put it at 75 to 90 gems. So I do think it's going to hover around there personally. When it comes to the uncommon, I think it actually has a pretty good chance of going above 100 gems. And I think that's mostly because of the super iconic pose. Again, you see him in this pose quite a bit in the films, especially in like Jabba's palace, which is, you know, obviously the person that he works for. So the bullish is going from 115 to 130 gems. The normal, which I think that's just the middle market, I don't know, but kind of like the terminology for what's kind of like the status quo for the most part. Normal could be, I think it's going to easily be over box price, so 90 gems, but it could get close, meaning like the only reason why it's holding that 90 gem like price is because if you sell it for any less, now you're pretty much not making money. And I do think with like just shy of 10,000 mints, I do think it can hold that value of like 90 to 110 gems ish. And then bearish, 75 to 90 gems, it could hug a little bit closer to the box price. And to be quite honest, it wouldn't surprise me if it does go below 90 gems, and now we're actually selling it for less than what people paid for. Because especially if we're continually getting these Star Wars drops, Marvel, whatever it is, where pretty much all of the value, you know, 90% of the value of the entire Bind Blocks drop is just hovering around that top mint or that top rarity. The other ones could just fall to the wayside. So I will say, like, this one's probably gonna be a little bit closer to like 100, 110, 15-ish, but it would not surprise me at all if it does get down into like the 90s on drop day. And here's the ultra rare, the animation that I have you in my sights where he's kind of like looking around, which again, I really like the look of. The bullish outlook, I do think is 500 to 750 gems. I almost contemplating putting it like up to like 900-ish. I'm like, well, that's still half the price of Vader. Vader's obviously a very, very big character, but I do think with just the current market sentiment, with the ever looming AF-15 kind of, you know, announcement that could potentially happen literally the same day, I do think people are going to be holding off on really chasing this in the secondary market, because who knows? I mean, an extra, you know, 500 gems or 700 gems, if they announce AF-15, I mean, how many more commons or uncommons or rares could that get you in the secondary market? Even potentially an ultra rare, someone like mislists it or something like that. So I do think just because, again, people are consolidating a lot right now. Some people are still cashing out. I think we're going to get a lot of really interesting stuff. I just realized I just misspelled bearish on this one. Then the normal is 350 to 500. I do think it's going to hover in that range. I think it's probably a little bit closer to like 450, maybe 500. So I do think 350 is a little bit on the low end when it comes to the normal. And then the bearish is 250 to 350. At that point, we're just kind of talking about like your normal blind box drops for, again, some Marvel superheroes and stuff like that. So 250 to 350, I do think is on the low end for the most part, but I do think the ultra rare is going to start hovering around between 350 to 500 for the most part. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below. Are you guys going for the drop? Are you guys going to be, you know, flooring your comments and uncommons below retail if you guys buy it, and by the time it gets delivered, if you notice that it's below retail, are you just going to sell it right away to mitigate the cost? Or I should say the damage, so you have enough for AF-15. Let me know what you guys are going to do down in the comments below. And maybe let me know if you guys think that this is truly a grail. I do think to but I should say to Star Wars fans or fanatics, people that really like the originals like me, I would consider Boba Fett a grail, but I do think to everyone else, at the very least, you guys should put it like blue chip A tier. He's definitely not a B or C list character when it comes to Star Wars. He's definitely up there when it comes to popularity, but I get not everyone really values him the same way as everyone else, or people are just simply preparing for more drops in the future rather than just Boba Fett. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys take care. Please double and triple check all of your listings so you don't screw yourself over, and I'll catch you guys next time.